Hi.
Hey, how are you,
Are we
Jennifer?
live? There
I
we
think we're
are.
live.
We're live. How are you, Erin?
I look forward to this all week to talk to
I
you,
know, I
to hang
know.
out. Yeah, it can be stressful days sometimes, and this feels like a wonderful reprieve where there's kindness, there's generosity, there's friendship and community. So really look forward to seeing you.
Too bad it's not in person.
True. Yeah,
That
next
would
time
make
we
it
got to do
better.
one of these live in
I
person.
know.
That would be
I
fun.
agree. I agree.
All
That would be
right.
nice.
Yes, maybe a future episode will
I
actually
hope
be
so.
Jennifer and I in the same room talking to you live with our crafty therapy. So, welcome everyone to Hanging with Hero. Thank you for joining. Wonderful to see everyone. I
Yeah.
see some familiar faces. Thank you for joining.
Yep.
It's great to see you. I see some new people as well. Always great. And you are always welcome to join the fun. Hanging with Hero was really started with the idea that we would celebrate 50 years of hero arts. 50 years. I mean, that's crazy. My mother started it back in 1974 in our house. The first rubber stamp press was actually in our bathroom that she found in the basement of her school, where she was a school teacher teaching at risk youth and helped them get in touch with art. And that kind of is the foundation and genesis of Hero Arts. 50 years, we're also looking to celebrate 50 years of the craft industry and stamping, because really decorative rubber stamping, the way we know it, started back then as well, right around the
Yep.
same time. And so 50 years of this wonderful industry, and not 50 years, but a long friendship between you and I, Jennifer. So when I said I wanted to do this, you were instantly, yes, I'm in. I'm doing this with you, Aaron. And I
Yep.
just love that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been wonderful as we now are in our 17th episode.
It's been good because although we know these people pretty well, I mean, some of them very well, we still have both learned quite a bit, hearing how they got started and just some other things along the way. It's been fun to hear it all.
It's so true. I think it's just a lot of fun to spend this time together. Obviously, we could do crafting, and there's so much wonderful content that you do, Jennifer, and so many of our crafty friends that we invite on these shows. And this is a change of pace. This is an
Yep.
opportunity to really talk through the history of our industry, why some of the products are, how they came to be, how people started their businesses that you know so well, teachers and influencers, educators and retailers, vendors and websites. And we've talked to so many different people. Uh, it is quite wonderful. And to get these great questions. Yes, Rebecca, my mother is still alive and
Yeah.
loves being involved. Well, she hasn't been involved in the company for more than 15 years because my wife and I have owned the company
Yep.
for more than 20. Laura and I bought the company from her 20 years ago, a little less. And ever since, she's been enjoying retirement. She's actually very active doing yoga. Sometimes I
Uh
call her and
huh.
say, Mom, let's get together for lunch. And she'd be like, Oh, honey, I can't this week, maybe next week. So, what a wonderful gift to have a 80 something year old mom who is not even available to see her son. I just love that for her. I miss her
Yeah.
sometimes, but I love that for her.
Yep.
And Laura and I have really kind of run the company our way with many kind of celebrations of the way that my mom started the company, and we've really looked to honor all of you, the craft industry, stamping, the art of the stamp, how to make the craftsmanship at the level that I think it really deserves, and also diversify into things like subscription programs that really my wife started for Hero Art. So Laura and I have really enjoyed the ride and really enjoyed the fact that this is a 50-year company that we're able to
Yep.
contribute to. And again, it's a similar story across a lot of different companies we've
Yep.
spoken with. If you haven't looked back at some of our episodes, you can see the genesis of many companies in this industry that have started similarly, just like me, working maybe with their they're a partner, maybe working with their brother or sister. I've had brother and sister working at Hero Arts too.
Yes, you have. Yep.
So family businesses, wonderful background stories of how things got started. It's a lively industry. It's a really fascinating set of people that come together and craft together all the time. And hanging with Hero is the opportunity to really talk through all of that.
It's been fun.
Um,
And what I've
yeah,
really liked hearing is it seems like in everybody's story, we hear like where you have to pivot to keep things going and
right.
how working with others really has helped them succeed. And we hear that in every story we've brought on the Hanging with Hero.
Yes. So true. And I think that that's why the industry is so supportive. That's why we
Yep.
have that sense every time that it's like crafty therapy when we get together, crafting or talking the way we do on these. Because I think that, like you say, that there is this string that connects all of us.
Yeah.
Crafts we love, of course, but also stories of how we first started or how we first found a company that we really love, our first card, first
Yep.
product. And it does seem to really connect so many people. Also, I would just really like all the people in this industry so much. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to hang out for friends. Unlike any other industry that I've been a part of, and I've been a part of others that are
Yep.
not so kind, and just the opposite. You really want to beat down your competitor. You really want to
Yep.
win. And I just think that everyone's here to be supportive. I routinely talk to what you would call competitors.
Yeah.
I routinely call friends who, in another industry might never even pick up the phone and have a relationship with you in the way that we talk about kind of how can I improve my business? I'm having a problem. Can you help me with
Yep.
this? I can help you with that. And that's beautiful. It really
Yep.
is something that I prize.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. We also get the joy, like you've mentioned, of having wonderful crafty friends. We've got another crafty friend here tonight that we're excited to introduce. And let me just tell you that um, if you haven't watched back, really look at the different people that we've had
Yep.
in this on these discussions, because I think we've talked ranging from so many different topics. And tonight, maybe we're going to touch on kind of the different types of crafts that we practice, and yet we call ourselves a big paper crafting community. What's education versus influencer? What's kind of YouTube versus in person? And I think we've got a perfect person to talk to about that.
Yes.
Someone who's been in this industry a long time and is, a well-known educator, and someone I hope that if you don't know, you're going to get to know. But if
Oh,
you do
she's
know, I
so
think you'd
much
love.
fun. So much fun.
Yes. So Vicki, join us.
Hello.
We're working on it. Hang on. Did you bring Vicky in?
No, I can't hear
He can't. Oh, his
There
headphones
we
aren't
go.
working.
you.
Woo!
I
Hi,
love it.
Vicky.
You make me cry because I'm like, it's really funny because how we perceive ourselves as opposed to how others. And
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm just blessed and lucky to be included in anything. So when you say, oh, influencer or whatever, I'm like, who we talking about? Who we talking about? Like it really is for me is just I'm just as excited to be a part of this as like the first day, like the first time I met Jennifer McGuire at a creating keepsakes event, and you know what I mean,
Yes.
and then became friends, and because I
Yep.
started
Mm,
just as a crafter, right? And so I still feel that, like I'm still
yeah,
feel like I'm lucky to be a part of this every single time. So thank you for
that's
that
great.
awesome introduction, because I
We're
don't
Yeah,
see
and
glad
we're
you're
lucky to
here.
have you. We're lucky
Yes.
that you're here, just like Jennifer said, lucky to have you. For the people who don't know, and I can't imagine there are many who don't know, just maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, where they can find you, where they can see you, and maybe some of the products you kind of like promoting and some of the education that you do. And then we'll get to your background story of how you started. But let's
I
maybe
love
just
that.
give us a quick introduction about who you are.
So hi friends, I'm Vicki Boutin. and let's be best friends. And that's really what I feel like. I am a paper crafter, mixed media artist. If you want to find me, really just search Vicki Boutin with an I, Vicki. VickiBoutin.com is where I'm trying to get better at. I'm still a one man show, and I feel like the person with the drums, the cymbal, the monkey, the squeeze
Yep.
box, like trying to manage all of the things. But YouTube, I do a Friday Night Live. Like I love for on top of the education that I do that maybe you pay for to come to a class. I like to give lots of free content because I always feel like I really want you to drink the Kool-Aid with me, do the things, try the things, feel comfortable doing the things. And that's one of my things, do all the things is one of the things that I say all the time because I want you to feel the same passion I do about trying mixed media art, paper crafting, card making,
Mm.
photography, mini book making. So that's kind of my background. Well, it's not my background, but where you can find me. And I have collections. I think I'm on my 20th collections with a collection with American Crafts.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
have some new endeavors coming in the new year that I can't share just yet, but very
Woo!
excited about that. I'm going in a different direction and I feel really good. You know, when you've been doing this, because we're talking about, I remember meeting you. I'm sure I've met your mother a number of times
Yeah.
working on design teams when I was just walking the floor of the trade shows prior to actually having a booth with my name on it. So I've been doing this. I think my son is 24. So I've been doing this
No
since
way.
I know it's crazy. I have like
That's
adult
crazy.
children. It is, it's crazy. But he was 6 months old, I think, when I started as a hobby, and it turned into a job very soon after that.
Yep.
So I remember like some of my first sets of stamps and some I still use are red rubber from Hero Arts because I
Yep.
love
Great.
them for mixed media art, right? So
Great. So take us back. So how early did you identify yourself as crafty? Like maybe this is something that you wanted to do, even as maybe as a teenager, as a profession. Like take us back and how you really started, and even where you found maybe those first stamps that got you excited.
you'll see too. Do you see me like trying to be very respectful to let other people speak because I talk a lot. So that's I'm like so
It's
um
okay.
I've al- I've always been creative. Like I went to school for art and graphic design. I mural paint, I draw, like
Mm.
life drawing classes with naked people. Did that, which happened to be one of my funniest stories. Is one of our life drawing classes. Our normal model wasn't there. Who she was like a 60-year-old wonderful like Dutch lady would do all her poses, and it's a little uncomfortable. They're completely naked and you're drawing doing your thing, and then I see this guy come in on a motorcycle, and he comes in his full leathers, and it's a guy I work with at a department store, and I'm like, what's he doing here, and proceeds to strip down,
Oh.
and I am behind my easel and I'm crying because I'm like, I work with him on like the weekends. I'm never going to be able to look at this guy the same way. So I've always had like to Barbie coloring books. Like it had to be ones that I could do her highlights in her hair and paint the
Yep.
makeup and the lipstick, forever. Make my own paper dolls. So what's really interesting, right, is and then think if you think like I'm a little bit older, that crafting was such a huge thing. We do flower arrangement, dry flowers like
Yep.
eucalyptus and all of that stuff. And then toll painting, where I'd buy like the wooden doll cutout and then paint all of the dots and the things. And then I had a baby, and in Canada, we get a year maternity leave. And we
Nice.
also, yeah, a paid for year maternity leave. And they also, when Riley was born, had this thing where in Ontario, they had mummy groups that was also paid by the government that you could go once a week and learn making your own baby food, whatever. And
Wow.
uh, it was a scrapbooking class. So it was really when creative memories was probably
Mm.
starting to be huge, and everybody was having the parties at their house. And I'm like, we're taking the pictures like that. I was taking all these pictures of this beautiful new baby, meeting new friends because we were newer to the city I was living in, and went to my first creative memories class and was cutting everything in a circle and putting stickers all
Hmm.
over everything. Then I was like, I need to know more because I like this, but I feel like I need to level up. I want to
Yeah.
do something else, and found a local store. And funny, and you'll remember this, I'm sure, Jennifer, is Becky Higgins had a book out about hand drawing your titles.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
And I
I
Yeah.
was
remember.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that was like, I'm like, this is my jam. I'm an artist, so I
Uh-huh.
can do this. Like I can draw exactly like this. And remember going to a local scrapbook store and taking the class, but I was not really welcome after that because I really could master the hand drawing. And so I
Yeah.
just kind of started finding, different routes to discover this. And then my first was actually a kit company in Canada that did stamps too,
Hmm.
gelatins. I don't know if you guys remember that, and
Yeah.
Scraptivity. But also back
Hmm.
then was the message boards, which as a young mom was the best thing ever, that I could have a whole community while I was at home with my
Sure.
kids, right? And then doing art and documenting all of my memories. And because I won't lie, like I'm all about the stuff. If my family has a giant bonfire with my scrapbooks at the end, I won't be upset about all of that because I feel like I'm getting what I need out of it. If they love
Hmm.
it in the end, that's great, but I don't feel like that's my driving force. Like it's
Mm.
totally a me thing, and I'm okay with that. You know what
The
I
That's
mean?
joy
I'm
nice.
of
okay with
creating
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
just love doing it, right? I just love doing it. So but yeah, if Riley is 24 and my daughter Devin is 21, and
Wow.
it all kind of started there. Like in it, I worked with Jennifer at creating
Hmm.
keepsakes. I was remember when those calls would come out, and I would be so excited if I got picked up for her. I think I worked on one of her idea books, so
Yeah.
been around for a long time. And then we would go to I don't know what the house was called, but we went to this crafting house, like
Cornerstone.
just yes,
Cornerstone. Yeah.
and would just laugh. And that's what I would just be there to entertain. I don't think I ever worked on a project.
We would go, Aaron, we would go to, this was like in the early days when I was working with you, because I would take all my Hero Art stamps. This was
Hmm.
before I blogged and before I did videos. So I would go for a weekend. Colin was little. I would go for the weekend with all my Hero Art stamps, and I could make a billion cards in that weekend. And so I could get a ton done. And then when I came back, I didn't have to work as much with him around. So we would go on weekends to this little scrapbook inn called Cornerstone that was in Indiana.
Hmm.
And Jana, Jana and several others, and Vicki would
Sure.
come out. I mean, there were a bunch of us, and we'd fill that house, and we would just
Just a second, I'm
laugh
going to
the
plug my phone in.
whole time. We just would have the best
Wow.
time. Unfortunately, it closed because they had some family stuff. And
Hmm.
yeah, those were our early retreat days.
It
It
was a
was
lot of
That's
fun.
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 So,
Now, you brought all your Hero Art stamps. That must have been heavy, right? Because probably
Oh
some of it
yeah,
was wood. Yeah.
it
oh,
was
it was
all wood.
awesome though, because I would get to
All.
work with stuff,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
we hadn't seen before or whatever, because she'd have them out. And Jennifer's always generous in so many ways, but it would all be there. And she's like, use whatever you want. And I'd be like,
Yep.
I've never seen this before. So it would
Yeah.
be
That's
awesome.
fun.
So
And
been
those were
around for a
all
long
stamps.
time.
They're all red
Yeah.
wood mounted stamps.
Oh, loved it. Loved them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Vicky, I love the story because I think so many connections that we found on Hanging with Hero that really unite the community and unite the guests that we've spoken with. And so many of audience members have agreed that finding your community is really the magic of this industry in so many
Yeah.
ways and keeps you energized, keeps you excited. It's the way that you find kind of inspiration
Mm-hmm.
because probably back then magazines were really big, and so you might recognize somebody who got published, right? You might aspire to be published if you're a new stamper, and then you might have other friends who know how to do it, who tell you kind of what they did. uh, you have people to talk up to about kid names. Like a number of people have said in the comments that, those communities weren't just for crafting, right? They were
Oh
for
yeah.
friendship. And you
It
Yeah.
was,
guys,
I
you guys,
said that it goes so far beyond. Like when people are like, "Where are
yeah,
you going? What are you doing?" I'm like, "You just don't even understand.
Yeah.
You just don't even understand the value." Like I said, I have people I've met that are all over the world that I never would have
Hmm.
met if I hadn't started doing this, that I've been friends with for now like over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like over 20 years. And it's um you can't even put into words how fulfilling it is beyond the crafting. It's the
Yeah.
community, and I'm a huge builder of that. Like I love community. I do that. I during the pandemic, I was already doing online stuff, so I just kind of floated right into, okay, we're gonna do more because now like I need to connect. It
Yeah.
feeds my soul. So to have the ability to build this whole community, and a lot of people, like, it was life saving. There were people home
yeah,
all by themselves,
Yeah.
not everybody had a bubble. So we created that bubble, and it's one of those things that for all the terrible stuff that came out of that, the wonderful part was literally that our lives immediately still slowed down and stopped, and
Yeah.
we could do so much more crafting, connecting, laughing when we really needed it, crying. It just, I don't know, is magical. And I miss now, because now life has got, people are really busy again, is I'm
right,
sad. Like it is one of those, like, do you even, oh, you don't even notice I'm not there. I'm like, I notice. I love you guys. Like the people that talk and connect, and that I now going back to in person, like long uncomfortable hugs. I'm all about that. Like it's, you not don't know when to release, because I'm like, I need to, in this hug, need to convey how much I love and appreciate you. So it needs to go just that little bit beyond being maybe comfortable. Like they're letting
right.
go, but I'm not ready to
That's the
let
way
go
to do
yet.
it.
Right? Yeah.
You give good
So it
hugs. You
is.
give very good hugs. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
And I think
seriously
that
like it's. Go ahead.
it,
Sorry. Remember,
no,
just
it's
tell me
just a,
shut up.
it's a wonderful example in actuality, but also as a metaphor, because I think that given, uh, making something for yourself like a scrapbook page, but also making a card and giving it to someone, it is like a hug when people really realize that you spent the time and energy to really personalize that just for them. And I think that that's especially during COVID when maybe we couldn't have those long hugs.
Mhm.
You fist bump, or you don't even see
yeah.
each other in person. Card making in so many ways, but crafting in general is about giving. It's about giving of yourself, maybe to yourself, which we all need for that
Mhm.
therapy, but also giving to others. And I think that is such a beautiful metaphor. Uh, you know, Hang in there for the hug just a little longer
Yeah.
than maybe you'd like. And I think that is in a nutshell what giving is all about in our industry. So, um, I love to hear the story. I really appreciate all kind of your history and how you got here. I do think that a lot of people really appreciate and kind of looking back at what I know about you, your kind of personality and willingness to share. I also love the way that you pronounced mummy group. For a second I didn't know what you were talking about. Mom's group is
Mummy.
what.
Mummy.
Mommy.
Yeah. I'm Canadian. It is mummy. Mummy. Mom. I know when
Yeah,
I say
Mom.
house or bag, that's the other
yeah,
thing. What is it? Yeah, my vowels are much shorter. Much
yeah, yeah.
shorter.
So what do you find most uh, enduring about for you as an educator? Like, what do you find most enjoyable when you kind of do a live or teach or do an event? Like, what's really what kind of creates that energy and excitement for you inside to want to do that?
Well, and I have to say, like, I'm not nervous at all to be around. Like, I feel like I'm sharing something that, it's going to sound corny, that I was meant to do this. Like, I was meant
Hmm.
to make art accessible. to make people feel comfortable doing it. Even if you're not, I will force you to do the things. Like I want people to feel that literal pleasure that I do is just sitting down. Like when I sit down Friday Night Lives, a lot of times I go, okay, these are the tools I'm going to use, but I don't even know what I'm going to do, and just magic happens. And even is the best is because I want them to see that it might look like always say cockapoo. It might not look at anything like I meant it to look like, but I'm like, okay, now you're going to watch me work through this, and it happened last week. It happened last week. I want people to get out of their own way when it comes to the creativity. I feel the older we get, we set very high expectations for our creativity, and it has to be perfect. And I'll be in a classroom, like I've been in classrooms with 300 people in them. Like and I can't get up and talk to everybody and touch their stuff and help them.
It's hard.
So it's that's why I do everything is live now. I've taught live for a long time because out of necessity to start, because I did not know how to do the editing and all the rest. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just teach live. So I love that people get to see the process, because the process matters. That some like card making for me even, there's a lot of steps for that tiny little, right? It could be hours put into a
Yeah.
card, right? People
Usually.
have more of an expectation of it when we're doing a 12 by 12 or 24 by 12 or a mini book, but people don't understand that card that is beautiful, and you see that it could have been like 12 layers of ink layering and drying and then die cutting and all the rest of it is, I love people to see the process. I say it's just a piece of paper in your time. What do you got to lose? Because I really believe that is like, if it doesn't work out, grab another sheet. Most things, when you're mastering something, is going to take you 20 tries, and that's
Yeah.
totally okay. And you will learn way more doing it on your own than what I am going to tell you to do. I'm going to give you tools. I call myself the crafting Yoda, like I'm your creative guide. So I'm like, I'm just going to guide you through this, but the best and most rewarding thing for me is when people try it and achieve something they didn't think they could, and that
Yeah.
pure, like seeing that joy happen. It's like, see, I thought I wasn't an artist, or I put all of these roadblocks and barriers up to my creativity. I'm like, do all the things, and the first thing I think you should try is a thing you're totally terrible at,
Yeah.
because that's what a class is all about. Like if you come in and you're a pro at all the things, it's where you're getting your new golden nuggets, where you're getting the new things that you want to learn. So,
Yeah.
pardon me. For me, I love teaching, and it's the connecting. Oh my goodness, the people I've met, the stories I've heard. Like if I wouldn't be doing this, like I feel like that is 70% of why I do this is literally the connection.
That's
And then
great.
it is the art. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. It could be making a card, it could be jelly plate printing, like printmaking, it could be scrapbooking, making a mini book.
Yeah.
There's like I put zero limitations on what I will try.
That's great.
So if you said,
You've
what
said
are you? I'm like, I will make all of the things.
right.
I'm
And
a
I
one
think that
trick pony.
yeah,
I just
but
make cards.
That's a lie. That is such a lie. I've learned so much from Miss Jennifer McGuire over the years.
yes.
Yeah, she is. She is definitely, what do you call that? A trailblazer.
Yes. And Jennifer, I think that a lot of the words that Vicky just used, I think, is your mantras too. Like there aren't really mistakes, right? It's the journey. You really bring kind of a sense of exploration to all the kind of new products. So I think that it is what people come to watch you for, Jennifer. And I think that's beautiful. And what you're saying, Vicky, I just love the process that you say, because it could be many, many hours and it could be a lot of mistakes, but it's kind of that journey that Jennifer's mentioned before too, that is kind of the same thing. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's really such a wonderful part of of this industry is that journey. The friendship and the community make it even better, but the fact that the
Yeah.
art itself that we're doing and that people use, Hero Arts products and all the wonderful products in the industry for, is to have that crafty therapy. So many people have mentioned that therapy or joy or my time or that escape. Don't have to worry about the worries of the world. You can just kind of have that, and I think that really is a gift that both of you give to this industry and to the people who join you for your lives and your events and your classes.
Well, it's um, this year has been particularly hard for me. I lost my mom this summer, which
Oh wow,
I won't cry,
yeah,
but we were very close. And so you'll talk about, because you don't know till you know. That's my other new thing I learned this year is you can, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, but really losing a parent, you don't know till you know.
yeah,
And in when all of that was going on, I had a class to teach. So life is still happening regardless. It doesn't stop. And it's what I told, I call them the VBoo crew, because they call me VBoo. Um, when I went on that live right after, and I'm like, I'll be a crying mess because it's just who I am anyway. But
mm,
sitting and making and the support I had for my mom and all of this, like came to classes with me, like where she could travel something local, she would come. Was on every Friday night live, like we couldn't start till Sheila was there. And knowing that it literally was like a solve, like that, sitting down and having to make, even though I might have been, if I didn't have to, I might not have done it, was therapeutic. And now I feel like when I say that, I'm saying it from a real place. Like it was the best thing, that it helped me heal when I needed it the most. And it sounds like corny, like really making art and connecting. I'm like, no. And these are people that I know online and maybe have never met
Yeah.
in
sure,
person. But I'm very lucky too that I do cruises with crafters, because I love it that we're stuck on this cruise ship for a week is my jam. Like I'm the kind, I'm like, yeah, you can eat dinner, you can go to the comedy, hang out with me as much as you want. I feed off of that, like that
Yeah.
interaction. And why I'm saying that is that first time we get to hug when we feel like we are best friends online. Like I don't know these people, and
Yeah.
it's, and you guys know, you'll have like 300 people watching, but maybe 50 of them interact. And that can be really awesome and a little scary when you think about it, that there's these people that you never get to meet or talk to.
Yeah.
But what's super rewarding is that when you meet them and go, I've never talked to you online, but my family talks about you, your Auntie Vicki. They make fun of, like, we call, my husband is funny. We call him the athlete, because he will come down during my lives. He plays tennis and hockey and golfs, and he came down one night, and I like to make fun of him, as I do. And I said something, and he goes, "Well, I'm an athlete, so of course I can't let that kind of thing ride." So now every single time Rich walks into the room, they're like, "Is the athlete there? How's the athlete doing?" So it's just, he's there with us, like we connect. It's what you see is really what you get when you meet me. It's I think, to let people in, we let them into our lives. And you hope that, I would say 99% of it is good. There is sometimes, the one side, but I've learned that really isn't a reflection of me. People are going through their own things, their own
yeah,
pain, their own
It's
whatever they're
true.
dealing with. So I just try to put 20 times more love out there. And then when you meet me, it's like, I want to sit and talk to you. Am I going to take up too much of your time? I'm like, no. What do we need to talk about? Let's be best
Yeah.
friends. Like, it really is. Because if it wasn't for everybody that shows up to all of these things, buys the product, supporting other manufacturers, because I am definitely one who likes to lift. It's not about me. You know what I mean? It's not all about me. When I'm out, I love other crafters. I love when I meet them, oh, I love you do this. And it inspires me so much that I really feel like that's important. And I've been around, like, for over 20 years. Quietly, I feel like like I said earlier, my perception, I don't have the perception other people do of me in the industry. Isn't that weird? Like, I just feel like no one really knows who I am. I always just kind of like, and it's not a blow and smoke. It really is. Like, I have zero um, idea of how other like people in the industry, what do they know I exist? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just one of those. So I just feel like I'm everybody's new best friend. Like, let's be friends. Let's craft together. So
Hmm.
it's what I put out there, and people seem to keep coming back and enjoying what I do. And like I said, if you ask me what kind of influencer always makes me laugh, I'll influence you to buy the things I love, try the food. Like Jennifer, we
Hmm.
were at that thing, and I'm like, when McDonald's came out with their first like iced coffee, I'm like, you need to have this. I am a
Oh
pusher of
yeah,
all of the
I
things.
forgot about that. It was so
When
good.
I know her kids are coming, I'm gonna buy Smarties because I gotta be
Uh-huh.
Auntie Vicky that everybody
Uh-huh.
loves. Like, it's just I feel like I want this industry to keep growing because people don't know until they know, until they're part of it, really how awesome and rewarding it could be.
Yeah.
And I always say, if I'm not your cup of tea, go on the internet and find somebody who is, because there's
Yeah.
lots out there, right? There's
Yeah.
lots
Yeah.
out there. But this
Well, I
this
have to.
industry is pretty magic, wouldn't you say? Like, the support and love you must feel. 50 years of
Absolutely.
bringing amazing products to this industry. Like I said, I've been a lover of Hero Arts forever, a lover and supporter.
It is the fuel that makes us excited every day to innovate, to come up with new designs, to be creative, to at 50 years to want to partner with Spellbinders so that we can
Oh,
kind of
that's
open up a new
amazing.
chapter
Yeah.
and go in a new directions for the next 50. It really is. I think it is so important to have that love and that energy on a regular basis. And to be honest, I feel sorry for people in different industries. I've got friends who are lawyers, people who are engineers. Jennifer, you'd know
Yep.
about that, and just don't feel that love or that support or that sense of community, a sense of accomplishment, sense of mastery, sense of joy of giving or receiving that we almost take for granted in this industry. It's a wonderful place, and I think as much as anything, hanging with Hero is celebration of 50 years of Hero Arts for sure. Celebrations of 50 years of stamping and crafting, but also celebration of 50 years of really kind of giving and sharing that joy together in this community. And man, it is special. I 100% agree with you,
Well,
Vicki.
because this is like very real. Like, me
Hmm.
having been a part of the industry and in a different capacity, right? Because
Yeah.
um, what I do is kind of, it's not as very focused as when I go in that, when we used to go to the trade shows where all the stamp companies are together. Where do you see that? And that people actually from company to company like love each other. So it's really awesome for anybody who's here that may have come because I posted about it but aren't as familiar. This
Yeah,
is real. And that's the other thing, is where
Absolutely.
I am excited. Like, when you're like in person, I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I want to come. I want to hang out,
yeah,
because it's real. Like, it is the relationship and the connection that you guys have within the stamping, card making community is pretty special. It's really is pretty special. And I'm thankful that, like I said, like, I'm the odd duck that has been included into the whole thing. I love it. They're some of my favorite people that I've met in this
yeah.
industry.
It's funny. It what you say, it reminds me of, and I want to get back to cruises because there's a lot of questions about
Yeah.
cruises. But it reminds me of a story that my mom told back in 1974 that maybe is kind of the start of this community in some ways, or the start of the spirit of the community. And that is that the way that Hero Art sold initially was on a street called Telegraph Avenue in Berkeley, where you'd actually get a booth at like 4 in the morning on Sunday, and they'd close the street, and all these artisans and vendors would put out their tables and put out their stamps. And I was young, I was 7 or 8, but I would help my mom carry these really heavy cases of wood stamps that she would sell. And it was such a wonderful community because, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. And so everybody's kind of helping each other out, and you're setting up, and no customers have come yet, and the street's not even closed, but everybody's helping each other. Somebody forgot a screwdriver, they loan you. My mom was, she's a fairly slight person, and so this big burly guy who had, he had these big signs that he had carved himself out of wood. He came and helped her set up her booth. And after a few weeks of doing that, people were just so interested in each other, what the craft, how they came to it, that they started each sharing classes. And my mom started teaching an art class around stamping. And another guy, the guy next to us, he taught wood carving. And they all became friends. Like decades later, they're friends. And so, really, the stamping industry, at least that small corner of it that started with my mom, really was always about that community. Yes, of course, it was about great designs and fun products and a craft that we all love. But even back then, it was that sense of community and spirit that really, I think, founded this industry. And like people have said in the notes, echoing what I said, you don't find that in other industries. You really, really don't. They don't have cruises, right? They don't,
No.
I mean, maybe they have corporate retreats, but that's about the, that's kind of, you
I
have
But
to go.
even when you think like when I came into this and going to my first like CHA, which is one of the big trade shows, like those convention centers that were like three, like Chicago, and it would be like three, and
Mm,
walking in there, and I'm I'm just sad because I was thinking about this the other day of how many people I've met. Like when I think about it in the years of doing this, and when we go to somewhere where everybody kind of would congregate, and I'm so sad that the people who have left crafting and are doing maybe their knitting or not craft, I feel a lot aren't crafting at all, that you need to find something that fits in to your life, because I feel like you're missing on something that is completely selfishly for you, for your mind, body, and spirit. I don't think mindlessly scrolling or just watching Netflix feeds that part of your mind, body, and spirit that sitting and making something does. And it could be
mm,
Yep.
an art journal, it could be a card, it could be diamond dots. I just feel like the people I feel that have left it, I want to find a way to bring them back. Because one, I selfishly, I'm like, hey, you left me. Where are you? I miss you, and it's all about me. You should come and be my friend. But I do feel like I'm still here because I'm just as passionate about it as I
Yeah.
was the day that I started it. That I cut my first photo in a circle with a circle cutter, and went to
That thing
that
was
party and ate
amazing.
the snacks and bought all the tools, and then and then get to take the first class and learn the first new thing. It's like I feel like I still say it's every time showing up and watching one of Jennifer's videos, joining me for a Friday night live, watching the Hero Arts team make new things, you learn one new thing. It's like a total golden nugget. Like it's every
Yep.
time,
mm.
or a new way to do things. And that's where I was saying the totally give yourself the grace to make the mistakes, because the best aha moments for me have come from when it didn't turn out how I initially planned it. And then I'm like, look how clever I am. Like that was something that if I would have just
Yep.
quit, I wouldn't have got to hear. And just the whole process of it, I will show up sometimes on Fridays and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Do I have to go live? Oh, I'm tired. And I'll show up and then I'll even say it. I'm here, but it's been a rough week. And then by the end, we're singing together, we're laughing. And always say, thank you, because I would not have etched this time out for myself. And
Yeah.
by committing to doing those things, so I don't care if it's, I really am I love the idea of like just like a little art journal, like kind of thing where you're, say you're a card maker, but you're going to commit a little bit of time every week to a new technique you've seen. It doesn't have to be a finished project, That's the other thing we got to let go. You don't have to finish anything. Who cares? I don't have to put a photo on a scrapbook layout ever if I don't want to. And even my friend Allie Edward who told me I had to journal on everything. I'm not an English major. I don't want to journal on everything.
That was the
Sometimes I
hardest
have a
part for
story
me.
to tell and sometimes I don't. So I'm like, there are zero rules with me. You do whatever
Yeah.
makes you happy. I'm just glad you showed up. That's how I
Yep.
feel. I'm just glad you showed up. And I'm glad that, because I find life is busy. We have to actively commit to taking time for ourselves, and sometimes we get lost in all of life that's going around, and we feel guilty about it, and I don't think you should. I think you should do the things that make you feel like, if you had a rough week, bad things are going on in your life, to etch that little bit of time out. And I love that it's
Yeah.
online and I don't even have to have pants on. You know what I mean? I could be sitting there. I
Do
say
you
it all
have
the
pants
time.
on?
I do, because remember I said, like, if people will notice the background, they're like, where is she? Is there right before I went to go live tonight, there was an accident on my street and all the power went out and I had to find another place to do my this, because I'm like, I'm not missing this. I got invited to something cool tonight. I can't miss it. So I don't know if anything I even say makes sense. It just
It
all pours out
does.
of me. That's I
Well,
feel like.
I think we can all relate to that because this is our escape. And when we're creating, we don't have to think about any of that other stuff. And, when we mess up, I mean, a lot of the things I like doing most, like the techniques I like doing most, were accidents, and you can learn from them. I will say one of the things I think that is, COVID was such a hard time and, we couldn't go to the events. But I think one of the things that happened our industry because of it that is good is the virtual events, because there's a lot of people like who can't travel for different reasons. They physically
Yeah.
can't, or they don't have the income, or a lot of us are introverts. So the fact that we can connect online, I think, has been such a
A
gift.
lifesaver.
Such a gift. It's been a safe
Yes.
way for some people to connect that never would have. So I think there's, I miss those hugs though too. I miss those hugs, but there's also something
Definitely.
about I
It's
have
a good
many
balance,
friends,
right? Yeah.
yeah, that I've met online that I'm very good friends with that I've never met in person. It's just,
Hmm.
it's pretty cool. But we all, and we all are so different. We all create different. We all have different lives going on, but we get each other in this crazy creating sense that it clicks. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's part of why our industry is so close and looks out for each other so much, is because not many people get that joy of creating that
It's like
we all
Narnia.
understand.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It is
Yeah.
like, I feel like a Smurfette sometimes or something. It's like you don't know until you know, like until you're a part of this, like that go into that wardrobe, into this world of where, who would have known that, like an ink pad and stamps
Yeah.
and dies and some paper and some time can be so rewarding. I don't know. Like, then that's what I said. For me, I don't care after it's made. I'm different in the sense that, like, where I feel like I fit is, for me, it's just the process of doing it and what
Hmm.
I'm learning and what I'm feeling as I'm making it. And then I love the end result, but for me, it's right when I'm in it.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that product that I do, because for a long time I was, when before, like, my name was on product, is like, do you ever want to do that? I'm like, I don't know, I might feel limited in my creativity if I have to do. And it has been one of the most rewarding things, I have to
Oh,
say,
good.
because as an end user, to get to have an idea and to water that idea and watch it grow, and then go out and actively teach with product with my name on it, that then I go, ooh, I think now that I'm watching, because I'm always, as an educator, wanting to make sure that it resonates, that okay, how do I make this easier? How do I teach my, because I'm the only thing I can control in all of that, right? That's the only thing I can control is how I deliver the information. The product, if it's like, oh, we need more titles or scale matters, and all of that has been incredibly rewarding. And just the growth from my first collection to my 20th, like the things that I've learned as I've gone along,
Mm.
and it is really kind of fun to get to make things that came out of here and then collaborate and then get them to. Some of it's been awesome, some not so awesome, and but you look at all of that, you learn how's it going to be better the next time. And then now, like I say to the designer I work with and this new company that I'll be working with, is it's kind of fun now to bring the things I've learned along the way from other crafters, from being in a teaching environment to working with the product as a crafter, is to then to have some new exciting things to work on. Is, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like your new collaboration, like how awesome is that? For 50 years you've done this, but now you have something new and exciting
No,
you're
yeah.
to breathe new life into, still after 50 years of a company. It's, I don't know, it's a pretty special thing. It is kind of Narnia.
It is. There's no doubt. And in so many ways, Jennifer, you say it so well. It's like I just really thank everybody for their creativity. You know, Concord and Ninth, Gina
Yeah,
Kay, for coming up with new ideas so that you can do what you love doing, which is creating and
absolutely.
educating. And in so many ways, I think it's the same for Hero Arts. Just so joyous to see someone like you, Vicki, using, one of our products, or in ways that we never thought of course, in creative ways to in how to show it. And now with a partner like Spellbinders, for those of you who don't know, I'll just take 30 seconds to describe this. Hero Arts at 50 years is combining forces with Spellbinders. If you haven't seen the last episode, we talked all about it with Denzel Quick and with Yana, both from Spellbinders. And really, it is this wonderful opportunity of two brands, now one company, which is Spellbinders. The reality is that Hero Arts is in Northern California, and the red rubber industry is just not what it was, which is really at the heart and soul of who we are as a company. And we probably have held on to that longer than demand. Now we're going to continue to do it here. Red rubber continues to be a passion. We're going to continue to make it in Northern California. I just love the
It's
smell.
a thing of beauty.
And
It is. I'm
and,
telling you, for art stamps, is like there's nothing that tops red
Yeah.
rubber. Mm-mm.
right. And so
Yeah.
we will continue to do that here in Northern California. But pick, pack, and ship distribution is going to be in Arizona, where, let's be honest, it's also a business, and it's a lot less expensive to ship from Arizona. The rent is about a third of what it is in Northern California. And so this is a great way that we can really guarantee going forward as a company for the next 50. And the opportunities for innovation are wonderful. So exciting. It's energizing to think about designing now, not just with card making, but also in the kind of die cutting realm and mixed media that Spellbinders currently resides in. And so I think it's a beautiful partnership. It's a beautiful relationship. I've known them, Denzel particularly, for 25 years. And I've known Spellbinders for many, many years. And so we're partnering together. And you probably have noticed that the website transition, and we're still working on the inventory side of things, because it's a big deal to move a whole
Yeah,
warehouse from
for sure.
across states, from California to Arizona. So I apologize, that's taking longer, but sometimes, good things that happen, you have to wait for them, and that's a little bit what's happening. The website, of course, is up and ready to go, but maybe more things are out of stock than they should. As always, on our 50th anniversary, we have been doing sales. We're doing one slightly different this time, and that is that we always discontinue or sell down some overstock products. And so this time we're offering that same thing. which is a collection of last call hero arts. Where things are up to 50% off. I think we've got a graphic, so you can go there starting tonight, and you can shop some old favorites, tried and true. And it's called Last Call.
No,
Oh,
not
those are the
There you
winners.
go.
There's the
That.
Last Call, which is shop crafty markdowns from Hero Arts. So go to heroarts.com and you can shop that. And also, we always want to thank all of you for joining us. So as you saw, we've picked winners. Thank you so much. This is a way that we can really give back to each of you. If Mike can put that back up.
There you go. You can
Congratulations.
put the winners back up. His
Yeah,
headphones aren't working tonight, so he can't hear. So it's my fault I didn't cue him.
No worries. Yeah, so we do $50 giveaway. Plus, you get a $25 gift card to give to a friend. So congratulations for those winners. We've had many sponsors, people who have sponsored, if you will, by giving gift cards also. Tonight we have scrapbook.com and Ranger have also given a gift card. And do remember, if you're watching this later, not live, we also give away 2 more Hero Arts gift cards during the replay 48 hours after. Because some people just can't make it. They can't make this time, especially our international friends. This is the 3rd time we've had an international friend or a non-US. So Vicki, you're number 3. But last week we had Yana from the Ukraine, and so that's why we had that special 12 noon start time, because it was late at night for her. So for anybody who can't watch live, I totally understand. Maybe you're just coming back from work, or maybe you got dinner with the family. But if you're watching, there's still winners over the next 48 hours that we will select from the comments there. And those are really just a way to thank all of you for joining. Really, thank you for supporting not just Hero Arts, but stamping and the industry for all these years and being a part of it. Because I think we all contribute in different ways, and you definitely are big contributors. And so I really want to thank you all for kind of everything you do. Okay, so with that, Vicki, help me understand, because we've talked about this, and there's some obvious reasons why.
My connection, I see that again, right? I'm not at home, so I apologize. I hope you can still hear me.
We can
Can
hear
still
you.
hear
Well.
you.
I'm
Yeah,
blurry. So sorry
That's
you're a
about
little
that,
blurry at
guys.
the
But
moment, but you're coming through loud and clear. I mean, there's obvious, like if somebody does scrapbooking versus journaling, there's obvious, different formats, card making versus mixed media. But let's talk about those. Because some people who say, oh, I'm a card maker, but I don't really do mixed media. To me, they are a continuum. They all kind of work together. Many of the supplies are the same. Many of the uh, creative impulses are the same. So let's talk about these, because we haven't really touched on why they're different and why some people draw lines that, oh no, I don't do that, or I only do this. What's your feeling about kind of the different things that we call paper crafting in our market?
I think people draw the line. Like I said, I feel like as we get older, we really feel like we should be experts in everything. So I don't know if it's the fear of not being able to do it. So it's just easier to say, oh, I don't like to get my fingers dirty for mixed media, or um, I am a true believer in don't put limitations on your creativity. Like, try the things. How do you know if you don't try it? Like, if I go out and I've never had Brussels sprouts before, how do I know if I like them if I've never tried a Brussels sprout? So I think that's one of the things that has been my experience when I'm teaching, is that sometimes people don't want to try it, I think, for fear of failure, especially when you're in a setting where other people can see you failing, or what you think is failing, because I don't really feel like that is the case.
Mm.
But for me, I find doing the mixed media art ties me across. Like, I can take anything that I make doing artful techniques, and I can turn it into a card. I can turn it into an art journal. I can just do it for the fun and not make anything from it. I can
Hmm.
use it in my scrapbooking. So I always feel like, really, like I said, the majority of my following, I would say, is scrapbooking. It's hard to like. I always am trying to. I'm like, let's do this, and I really want to like this year. I feel like 2025. I have talked about like the art journaling. I say it can be your creative recipe book, like where you practice and do things, but it doesn't have to have a purpose initially. I think we should do all the things. Like, I don't feel like not everybody maybe wants to scrapbook because there's the photography part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in my experience, it has been having it. I started it because I had kids and I was taking all these pictures. And I feel like when the industry was bigger, that there were people doing it that maybe didn't go that path, don't have children, or so they felt like I'm doing it, but this really isn't my jam. And then card making was I can be creative, but I don't have that pressure of the photos and all the rest of
Mm-hmm.
it. So I saw in my career of doing this that I felt like that's when I saw that whole world of card making got bigger and the stamping got bigger,
Yeah.
that a lot of friends that had started with me are card makers now. And even now that I have aging children, right, that they're um some I don't want to necessarily only do photo based art making. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the hobby. And that's what I was saying about people who've maybe left scrapbooking because they're like, I never print a photo anymore, I only take them on my phone. One, I'd say you still need to print those photos, do 6x8 albums. That's my jam. Do your travel stuff, still do those things because we aren't of the generation where we put them in photo albums anymore. People don't do that. So I
Mm.
love the idea of 6x8 albums, even if you're a card maker or you are a mixed media artist, that I feel like that's where the two worlds can come. You don't have to buy any different tools. You could use everything you use to make those cards and die cut the flowers and still do a travel album or traveler's notebook, where I feel like the two worlds can come together. But I am really of the school that you don't have to be one of those things. You
I
can do
agree.
Yep.
any of the things. If you have adhesive and you have a paper trimmer and the rest of the tools, you can make anything you want. You can do any of
So
the things you want.
so I'm a little bit different because I'm an overthinker. I'm a practical, like that's just who I am to my core, that engineer in me. I feel like everybody can do what they want. And if it's all the things like you, that is awesome. I wish I had that in me, but
Mm.
I'm an overthinker. I overthink everything, and if I'm doing too many things, my mind will explode. So for me, kind of narrowing it to what I enjoy doing,
Yes.
part of me wants to do those things and let go, but I also know that where I'm comfortable is good. So I think it's about finding what works for you, and I think the
And
best
that's
approach is to,
okay, right?
yeah,
And
try all the
that's
things
okay.
and then figure out if all the things is what you want to stick with, or if you want to like fine tune into something. And that's what's great about this industry too, is that so many of the things that we hoard can be used for a lot of different things. A
Collect.
lot of different things.
Collect.
Collect.
I'm a
Okay.
collector.
Collect. Yeah. Very
My
good at it too.
collection.
Yes. Very good at it too.
But
And so
but there's
you
the
know,
whole
like,
thing. I feel like when somebody's telling you you have to be or
yeah, no.
do, you need to say you back up. Like,
Yeah.
I totally like sitting here where I say I do all the things, but like where it all begins with me is the art, the making of, like, I
Yeah.
love a blank white piece of something that I make come to life.
Yep.
And for me, that's where I get my joy, is from
Yep.
that. And
And
then
we
I
all
know as
do,
an
really.
educator, right? As the
Yeah.
educator or whatever, then I have to show people, because I feel like it's very much a North American thing, that it's all very purpose driven crafting. You
Yeah.
can't
Mm.
just make a piece of inked kissed background and be okay with that. It's like, okay,
Mm.
but what am I going to do with it? What am I going to make? I need to have an end result. Like, for
Yeah.
scrapbookers, I can only craft chronologically. I'm like, well, dude, if that was me, I'd
Oh,
still
I
be
know.
doing Devin's second year because I have
Yeah.
not put anything in an album, or because I don't care. There's no rules. And I feel like,
Yep.
Jennifer, that is a great thing, is that's why I love these kind of conversations, because I can be saying, do all the things, don't put any limitations. But then you say, where I come from as an engineer, like that can stress me out. And then I love that. Like I love that I go, and that's totally okay. You find
Yeah.
the thing that works for
Sure.
you, and that's where you need to be, right?
Well, really,
That's where
what
you
we
need to
both
be.
do is comes down to the same thing. We're basically starting with a blank something and
Mm-hmm.
adding color and enjoying the process of creating. And I think that's fascinating. I think I love how how Tim creates is different than how you create, which is different than how I create. And there's just so much to learn by watching different types of creators, especially on YouTube or in classes. That's why I think classes are so good, because all these teachers, like the way you teach, you're a phenomenal teacher. And it is like this invigorating, like you totally get wrapped up in it, and it's fantastic. Whereas I'm like this, like, I don't know, and like just overthinking teacher, you know? So it's good to have these different type of teachers, because you can learn in different ways and also explore creativity in different ways and figure out like where your comfort zone is. And that's one of the best things about this industry is the variety of teachers, the variety of things that you can do.
Well,
And
it's
so
what I
one,
learned very early, and probably you as well, is because we don't all think or do things the same way.
no,
Hmm.
Like
yeah,
that is what makes a good educator, is understanding,
yeah,
is how can I share my message or share what I want to teach in as many different ways as I can, so it connects. Like I'm always like, so because I'll change, like, okay, how do I write instructions, or how do I do this, because I learned that early, is you give everybody one 12 by 12 piece of paper and only written instructions. Like you need two 4 by 6, whatever. And I end up at the end of the class going, did you cut out of the middle of the page? I don't even understand, because my brain will see a square completely differently than somebody else's. So then I learn those kind of things, is I have to completely control that, because I'm teaching it. You just got to do what I say. That's what I always like for this. Just, it's going to be hard. Just trust me, but just do what I
yep.
say.
Trust
For
the
the
teacher.
math
I always say
part,
that.
like just
Yep.
do what I say. For the creative stuff where we're putting ink on a page, I'm like, I don't care. I want this to be, it needs to connect with you, because I can tell you it's going to be awesome till I'm blue in the face, until you do it and you feel that, like, oh, I can do the things, or I
Yeah.
love how that worked. That I can't control, and I'm totally okay letting that control go. But I love that. I love that just you saying that is like those little aha things that I'm like, and that's what makes us all awesome, is you can find, there's lots of different flavors of tea out there. You find your flavor, and you find the person that you connect with and that
Yep.
you learn. But it's also good to, I'm always looking for new ways, or I love
Sure.
watching Tim, as always, like I always say, is, and our
So
color
good.
palette is nowhere near the same or whatever, but I'm like, that man can teach me, and as do you, like forever, the techniques and all the rest. Is that one thing I'll watch you do, and I'll be like, well, I never thought of using embossing powder that way. But
Yeah.
now, like, that just sparks something, like that germinates that little seed that makes you then take it to how, okay, in the Vicky world, this is how I would use it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I put no limitations on your creativity, because you don't know what's out there that you might love,
It's
right?
true.
Right. It's funny you brought up Tim, because one of the comments, I think it was from Gina M, said that Vicky, you're the rainbow version of Tim Holtz.
Yeah. It's true.
Uh,
And we'll say
yeah.
that when I would walk up to, like, when we were, because I went to Ranger U like years and years ago. It was like the best thing, and
It was fun.
it was a lot of fun, and because to me, I'm like, I just need to understand. For me, creatively, I just need to understand how the products work. I can do my own things with it, but I want to know, like, oh, water reactive, and oh, embossing powder, like which embossing gun is better to use, and I love that information. I love and hoard information. I love that. And I will
Yeah.
walk up when Tim is demoing, and he'll have his browns and his grunge and all of that
Mm,
out, and then he'll see me in the periphery and go, "But if you're Vicki Boutin," and he'll pull the pink and the yellow, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's what's magic about do it your way. Like you just like I'll have people that I'm like, I don't watch Tim because he's like his color
Oh,
palette's dirty, and I'm like,
I
friend,
know. Yeah, change
you
it
can
up.
pick any color, but that man is a master
Yeah,
marketer and educator. Like you will learn more.
for sure.
I always like those people, in the industry. Jennifer's one of them for me, and Tim one of them. um where I look and go, they know how to connect. And like early days where it was like, because I know I will watch all that stuff. I will support Tim Holtz. I love Distress Inc. I love Ranger. I don't care if my name's on other stuff. I always will. Like, I'm like, it just is my favorite. Everything he comes out with, I'm like, yes, I need all of the things. I need two of everything. I love
He's
it.
a
Like,
genius.
I
yeah.
do. I love Tim Holtz. I do.
No doubt. I have to say, Vicky, going back to, there are no rules, you be yourself. There is no have to. I do remember early on, which goes to the origin story of how Jennifer and I met, is that right around 2000, there were kind of stories about how you needed to scrapbook, kind of the
Yep.
rules around scrapbooking. Like you had to, get your scrapbook for your child if they were just born by their first birthday, about their birth. You couldn't use stamps because they were too messy. They would
Nothing that wasn't
smear.
archival. Yeah,
Right, nothing that
there were
wasn't
a lot of
archived. There were
rules.
all these rules, and in some ways, that's kind of how card making snuck into that industry. Is that card making? You didn't have to use a photo like you were supposed to use in scrapbooking. Didn't have to, uh, you know, use archival stuff. You could stamp and ink, and it could be messy. You didn't have to stay within the lines. It was a smaller format, so it didn't take as long. It was easier to do.
Or as
The
much
message,
space, right? The commitment,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
the
the
space,
message
Yes.
was
right?
the photo, right? It wasn't, you didn't have to take a great photo. You didn't have to be a good photographer.
Yep.
And you didn't have to, know calligraphy maybe. You didn't have to write a journal. You didn't have to come up with your own words. You could use messages that were stamps. And so at the time, I remember that scrapbooking was really soaring right around 2000, 2002.
Yep.
And so we were like, okay, we have to find a way to really reach
And
scrapbookers because this industry is really skyrocketing. Beautiful things. I mean, wonderful creativity, wonderful products, really an explosion of investment, explosion of magazines, events. I mean, the events were off the hook great. Um, and so we were like, okay, we need a scrapbooker to help us out to try to figure this out. And so I called Jennifer, and you know, I didn't really know who she was, but I know that she was definitely a Hall of Famer, and a scrapbooker. And I said, "Hey, do you card make?" She said, "Oh yeah, I love it. It's like spare time." I'm like, "Well, can you help?" This little scrapbooking novice who has a card company.
mm,
And the idea that you could make cards and scrapbooks
yeah.
too, and a lot of Collins and your kids featured in
Yep.
there, and it was wonderful. We even put photos in cards, and we put message on scrapbook pages without photos, and all of a sudden the lines blurred. And I think that was a real kind of march and change that didn't
Yep.
just allow card makers to go to scrapbooking, but allowed scrapbookers to kind of unlock all the rules and try different things. And card making, hopefully, we won a lot of people over to, yeah, this is fun too.
Hmm.
But I think that you don't see that have tos as much anymore, especially
Yeah.
around scrapbooking
No.
after that time. After Jennifer, you kind of freed people to be able to and have
I
fun and make a
just
card too.
But it did it all the lines kind of blurred then
Yep.
around that
Yeah.
time, right? Because I didn't know it was called mixed media. I was always adding because I had an art background. So when I
Mm.
won the year Hall of Fame, is I had done on I and it was a weird year because they were calling, but you didn't know when you were getting a call, and I mean, sitting waiting by the phone, and I remember that when the call came, no one told me who it was, but then said, "Oh, you love paper piecing." And I didn't have a clue what that meant. But I'm like, yes, it is my favorite thing to do. Like I remember they recorded the phone calls that year, and listening to it back, I'd cry every time because I was like, you sound like such a dum dum, because I had no clue what that was. I had made a little fairy that I paper pieced the whole thing, and
Uh,
the little hair was like metal with beads on it, and because that was my jam. I made
yeah.
art, you know what I mean? So I love that time. Because I remember that. I remember when stamps, when those blurred lines, right? It's that it you art started showing up, and paint and ink and stamps and
Yep.
embossing folders and all of that stuff came in. And Jennifer was right there, like the one. If I said if there was a book that they put a call out for, or something I was going to do, I always wanted to do it with Jennifer, because what she did is what I was doing at home. It's like she was one of the first ones that was mixing that whole world of, it wasn't just getting as many photos on a page as
Yeah.
possible, and where it was the story was the most thing, because it's like that didn't resonate with me. I wanted stuff. I loved product, and I liked to
Yep.
do art, and I wanted to tie my creative worlds together into the whole world of scrapbooking, because my friends were doing it, but I was an artist, so how could I be really artful on my scrapbook pages? So, and card making back then, right? And so I'm thankful. I Stamps, stencils, dies
Yep.
are, if I had to pick one thing that I could only have, would always be that, because it's beautiful art that's made for you, that I
Yep.
can be very confident being creative and getting beautiful, guaranteed end results just by learning
True.
how to use the things properly. Stamps are like the best thing.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, like you really were, Hero Arts was where it was at. Like that was
Yep.
it. Like a lot of what you see out there, like you were the
They
first thing I
paved the
ever
way.
did when I, right, as I went to a in I was on vacation somewhere, and I went into a rubber stamp store, and I'm like, what is this magic, and bought, I was going to make my own bridal invitations, which never ended up happening, because what the heck was I thinking? Like, when would I have time to do that? But I remember buying a cherub rubber stamp, and it could have been a Hero Art stamp from years ago, because I mean, I had never seen this stuff, and gold embossing powder. And I remember doing it on my toaster, putting the paper over my toaster, because we didn't have a heat gun. Like, I don't even know how we did that back then. So,
Wow.
like,
Right.
I have been a lover of your product from like when you say that, because I probably went to my first trade show around 2002, 2003, started all of that. I did the Hall of Fame. I think it was 2006 when I won Hall of Fame year, but I had been like honorable mention the year before. Like it was such a, I don't know, the wow. When you think about that here on the other side, and my kids have grown up through watching
It's
everybody's
crazy.
kids grow up, and it's all pretty awesome. I mean, I still hear when people are like, "Are you still here?" I'm like, "Yeah." They have to drag me out kicking and screaming. I love this. I don't want to stop doing this.
No, no, no. Hey, we've got some pictures. Should we show the pictures?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen them. So, yeah.
We've been hanging out. Like any hugs that I can get. I love it.
That's great. You guys look so happy. There's just joy in that photo.
It is. She's
So
pretty
nice.
awesome.
Oh, there we go. There's Kathy.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
your
that was
booth.
like my second collection release or something, that one, I think.
That's awesome.
Nice.
All right.
Where is that?
CHA.
Okay.
Yep. And
Yeah.
because this Yep, because I think that's the same. And this
That's
is
the
when I
village.
think the first year you did
Yeah,
Stamp Village.
that was the
Yeah,
village. Yeah.
and to
2019.
get out of my space to come and see everybody. And it's usually the last day, and everybody's so tired, right? So to get the picture,
Yep.
it's pretty awesome.
Exactly. For for stampers who don't know or crafters who don't know, those shows are wonderful because you get to kind of hang out behind the scenes. It's primarily for retailers, where vendors come and sell to stores. And we had that stamping village that year, which was 14 stamp companies basically got together, and we all located our booths right next to each other, and we bought the center row. So it was just all couches and tables and chairs and a big village to hang out in.
It
It
was
was tons of
awesome.
fun. That was Anaheim, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
I missed
some
that.
folks asked about your Friday night lives. Can you tell us when they are? Because people want to check them out.
So
Yes.
it's on Vicki Boutin on YouTube. So definitely check that out.
I
Subscribe.
have it in the description.
Do all those things that I never remind anybody to do. So on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I will do usually some kind of technique, and we'll discover, like the last 2 weeks where I went out in my yard, and because I live in southern Ontario, Canada, there were beautiful leaves all over the ground, and I went, let's make art from leaves. So we did painted on the leaves and with distress ink and stamped them, and then did a whole technique that I had seen someone on Pinterest had done on canvases. So we painted the leaves with white paint and then put a color wash over each layer. So you created all this depth with, and I said it didn't matter where in the world. It didn't matter if you lived somewhere where the leaves were falling. You could take a leaf off of any plant and do it. And I
Hmm.
love that. Those are the things, like probably my most popular lives have been hand drawing, when I teach people how to draw trees at Christmas or
Nice.
flowers. But it is one of those, because it's like you don't have to have any special tools. I try to make it where some things will be very specific, where if it's like gel plate printing, I love printmaking, is one of my favorite things, that you have to have special tools. But I like to find things that are like kindergarten art, like blowing bubbles, where we put the paint and the water and the soap in a cup, and then we blow the bubbles and we make bubble art. Like we'll do lots of different things. So, and it's again a great, we meet up. I have a wonderful group of very supportive people that I feel like the new people, because I'm working, I can't chat as much while we're doing the things, but that community connects with each other, like through, like I brought them together, but they've developed their own friendships that have nothing at all to do with me, other than I provided the platform, and then
That's
they come
great.
Yeah.
and meet up. So I love it, and we do it fairly consistently. I travel a lot, like I do a lot of teaching. So, and like I said, cruises, usually 2 a year with those. And then some of them, because they're popular and I only have a max of 50 crafters. So sometimes they're back to back. Like we did Greece this summer and it was 100 people, but it was
Woo.
two back, like I did 1 week and then a second week, so that everybody still could get in there. And then in-person events, a lot of them sell out very quickly now. I'm always like, don't wait. If it's something you want to do, I don't feel like there's as many in-persons offered anymore. So you can't really
No,
sit
there's
on
not.
the fence with those. Yeah. And I don't do a lot. I think next year in person I have two cruises, which one is sold out, one is almost sold out, and then one in person that sold out in 23 hours. So there
Wow.
was, if they weren't right on that one, right? So it's hard.
And where are
It
your
is.
cruises next year?
We're doing in the beginning of February, Panama Canal. So we do Panama Canal and then Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And I believe it was on the ship that you and Christina were just on.
Oh, celebrity?
Yeah. So
Yeah, cool.
excited about that. I think it's Captain Kate. I think that's who we get, but
Oh,
she's
yeah.
in between her And then Norway this summer. We're doing Norway. I did for the
Nice.
teachers. There were lots of teachers that said you have to give us something in July so we can be
Ah,
off school. And then the dates are coming up for next year. I have to commit. So 2026, right now we're looking at, I'll do a Caribbean one in the beginning of the year because uh, I like to do those because they're a little bit more cost, like the
yeah.
cost is a little easier for, so it's not uh uh the European ones and such are hard because the travel's expensive. So the
Yeah.
beginning of the year we're looking at our dates for something Caribbean, that'll be a week, and then I'm looking at Boston and Nova Scotia and everything for when the
Nice.
leaves change. So we're
Oh,
just,
that sounds
I
great.
was just talking to the lady that I do those with. It's called Cruise and Crop, and there's lots of options. If you don't have to come with me, there's lots of different ones they do, but we have a lot of fun. I find because it's a vacation with crafting. Like you aren't stuck in a room the whole time that we craft, but then we go and do other fun things together too. So
Fun.
it's really hard to explain. It's like that I have my quite a few that have been on multiple, like sign up before we even get off the cruise ship for their next one because they found their people. It goes
Yeah.
beyond me. I bring them together. My personality attracts, I think, people who connect with me, and then if you like me, it's usually a room full of people that are similar. Well, probably not as chatty, but I don't know. It's just I just love that through doing something I'm super passionate about and love that I would be doing by myself in my basement, but just doing this online. And when you're talking about like virtual, and I've done them for prior to when we had to, so it just was like a continuation for me and helped other people set it up and do it because I'm like, this is the way to go. I love that I
Yeah.
have people, I agree, Jennifer, that can't for multiple reasons can't go to in-person events, that they still can feel like they're part of it. I like it to be very inclusive. I'm a very inclusive crafter. Like I really want people to feel like it's a place to come to meet your friend when we do our Friday night lives. And a lot of people are like folding laundry. They're not even making like it. But if it's something that, ooh, I love that, they might do it on Sunday afternoon, but they'll
Sure.
still show up and be part of their community and support me. And that's big. That's huge. Like I'm always like, I find the world of social media, when you think, because we've been here since when it started. Like I'm old enough to say that when it started, I was on message groups, right? Like
Yeah.
our message boards and two peas in a bucket and all that
Yep.
stuff in the beginning. To now, sometimes it's not the most positive place, but I feel like um I still want, we can keep it a positive, like show up for those, like maybe be pick and choose where you want to spend your time, don't leave it all together. Like, and I
Yeah.
do feel like there is value in chatting a little bit on there, like when you feel like you're in a safe space,
Sure.
because
Sure.
I do think you get back, like there's way more positive than there is negative. But it is, social
Absolutely.
media is a hard thing, right? It's a hard thing, and it is
Right.
We're
it
doing
And
just
I
our
do have
there's
best
a
to
to
lot.
keep it positive.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
I do have to say that's the purpose of hanging with heroes, really being able to share and celebrate and enjoy this community and enjoy the crafty friends that we've all made and enjoy the history in this kind of wonderfully rich industry that we have, where you can blur the lines, you can be you,
Yeah.
you can get some therapy, you can give, you can make new friends and visit with old friends. So with that, we can talk all night with you, Vicki. Really
I
appreciate
love
you
it.
joining us tonight.
Yes.
It was so much fun to kind of hear your origin story, hear your background. We've known each other a long time, and I didn't know a lot of the things I know about you. I didn't know you're such a great traveler. My wife and I are the same. We love traveling all the time, and kind of I always learn something new. And how wonderful it is to spend an evening with all of you. Thank you again for coming. Don't forget shop some crafty markdowns on heroarts.com. It's last call products that we're getting ready for new for 2025. And so we are discontinuing some or selling down at up to 50% off some items that we might be overstocked on. So go check out Last Call on heroarts.com. And look for Vicki on her Facebook page, youtube.com, or on a cruise coming sometime soon. Thank
and
you
I have
all for
all of
joining
her
us.
links in the description, so you can find her easily.
Great.
Yay.
Perfect.
Thank you, Vicki.
Friends. Oh, I love
Thank you
it.
so
Thank
much,
you for
Vicki.
having me.
It
Yay.
was
No
great to have
problem,
you.
no problem. He doesn't even know
Thanks
we're
all.
done. Bye, all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. See ya.